From a landscape point of view, I fell in love with this plot instantly. From a landscape point of view, I fell in love with this plot instantly. You're properly surrounded by ancient woodland, and there are no properties elsewhere to see. It's the total opposite to the frenetic lives that we lead in London. And the isolation and tranquility meant everything to me. When I first came down here in 2006 and discovered what was a pretty derelict, run-down group of outbuildings, I kind of loved the fact that the landscape was being retained by these walls that were like retaining vegetable patches. And I thought to myself, well, I wonder whether the building itself should feel as if it's kind of morphing out of the landscape. The starting point was the cottage, to be honest with you. Obviously, that was there. It's been there since 1730. So we reacted to the cottage. It's almost like I'm kind of enjoying playing with these two different periods of architectural language, if you like, and almost accentuating the years between the two. We went to great lengths to cantilever the whole of the structure here. So there's a massive concrete steel that goes beneath the ground, and there's a long steel that is 23 meters that runs the whole length of this living room. Financially, I could have saved myself some funds by putting a column just at the end here, but my desire to have this uninterrupted view of the lake became overriding. And in a funny sort of way, that's why I didn't really want to have sliding doors along this elevation, because visually they would have been more of an interruption. I just liked the purity of the glass and the view beyond. You know, I thought to myself, do I put a TV in this particular space? And I thought, no, that's what we do in London. This space is all about conversation. It's all about reading. It's about looking at that fireplace, and it's about looking at nature. My kind of obsession with daylight was quite difficult to achieve in this location, just because we had to excavate a fair chunk of land. And this was quite a challenge, because I knew that we were going to end up with like 6-7 meter high ceilings in the corridor behind the bedrooms. So that's why we ended up introducing skylights to get as much natural daylight to the back of the building. And I purposely made sure that we had a reduced palette of materials. So we've got aluminium door frames, we've got white plastered walls, we've got concrete floor, concrete walls, and then just Cotswold stone. And for me, that was ample number of materials. I just love the fact that tonally we've managed to match the Cotswold stone with the concrete, and there's no kind of jar between the two materials. The orientation of the building's almost by chance fabulous in that it's south-facing. So we get sun in the morning in the bedrooms, and then at 6 o'clock in the evening, we get sun back on the lake. Also, what I love about the orientation of the bedrooms is that every bedroom almost picture frames part of the landscape. What I've really enjoyed is the contrast of volumes and spaces. So in the cottage, you know, you literally have to duck to get below the door frames. So the ceiling heights in there are like less than 2 meters. You know, it's a vast contrast between the two. The location of the cottage meant that we potentially could end up with a very dark entrance hall. So I was slightly mindful of that fact, and therefore introduced this glass link between the old build and the new build. I like the idea of respecting the original design of the cottage and allowing that to breathe, and not having an extension butting right up to the edge of that cottage. I mean, it does, but as I say, the glass separates the two. We utilize the whole house at different times, and I think depending on how many people are in the house, I find myself gravitating to different spaces. So, you know, we often go upstairs at like 6 o'clock for drinks on the roof. I really enjoy moving around the whole building as much as possible and taking our friends on that kind of journey, if you like. You want to kind of use every inch of the building, really. It's a kind of magical place when it comes to just stopping and, dare I say it, turning your phone off for 3 hours and properly relaxing and re-energizing.